So Grant proves that you can, in fact, march a regiment or a division across open ground and attack a fixed position that's on a hill and then actually take that hill quite easily, proving victorious. Hello and welcome to Civil War in Hindsight. I'm Lieutenant Tommy. With me, as always, is Prospector Johnny. And Johnny, it's Indiana. So last week, freezing cold. This week,
yeah, that's right.
It's fine. It's not
Pretty nice.
I don't even have my jacket all the way buttoned up. It's fine.
It's like a nice 50 degrees today, somewhere around there. It's pretty good weather.
It's pretty good weather. Yeah, so there we go. Anyways, the week's going to open up on the 20th with, you guessed it, more shelling at Fort Sumter, because that's all we've talked about over the last month is just continuously throwing rounds at a rubble pile and then still somehow not
Eventually
taking over said rubble pile.
I mean, maybe we should stop shelling for a little bit and ask if they want to surrender.
That might be the better option, yeah.
I mean, maybe they can't run a flag of a pole or anything because we broke them all down.
We did, yeah, that's the thing. Maybe we should just go ask. But anyways, Johnny,
send a boat.
1,344 rounds were fired with 3 killed and 11 wounded, so I mean, it's better than the last week where we only wounded 2 dudes, so getting better.
Yeah, right. Depending on your definition.
And if you remember from last week, it ended with Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and now there are some reports coming in. Orator Edward Everett, the guy who did the 2.5-hour speech before Lincoln, he's going to write a letter to Lincoln stating, and I quote, "Your speech was near to the central idea of the occasion." if that's not the most backhanded dick, he's like your speech was close to what we were talking about. Thank you, Lincoln.
Yeah, you were almost there. That's nice, I guess.
Lincoln is going to
well, but this goes in. That's why nobody's going to remember this bullshit.
Yeah, nobody's going to remember it. And Lincoln is going to respond to Everett's response by saying, and I quote, "I am pleased to know that, in your judgment, the little I did say was not entirely a failure."
He knows what he did.
He knows he phoned that shit.
He knows he just showed up. This was just a little vacation for him and the wife.
He's like, "Look, you guys asked me last minute to come and say some words. I came. I said some words. I don't know what else you want from me."
Yeah.
On the 21st, Grant is preparing to break out of Chattanooga. His grand battle plan is to have Sherman move to the right flank and attack the Confederates at the north end of Missionary Ridge. Thomas is going to attack the center of Missionary Ridge, and Hooker was to move to hit the Confederate forces in the Lookout Valley. However, heavy rains on the 21st prevent this from kicking off. It's too muddy. We can't. It's not. It's not going to work. Lincoln comes down with a what's called varioloid, which is a mild form of smallpox. So probably shouldn't have given a speech out in the middle of the open air in the middle of the winter. So that probably wasn't the smartest thing. So now he's got
but I mean,
smallpox.
If you're going to catch smallpox, you catch it from the president, right? Then you get presidential smallpox.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do it anyway,
so
which most people are. So
hope for a speedy recovery for him.
Yeah, fingers crossed, I guess.
On the 22nd, Bragg will send Buckner's command to reinforce Longstreet and Knoxville, further weakening his positions around Chattanooga. I don't think he's paying any attention to the fact that Sherman's now there, and there's you're heavily outnumbered at this point. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but do you think he just doesn't care, or he thinks he has a high ground?
He's got the high ground, and this is very good high ground. So I'm thinking it's more of, okay.
He's just feeling safe.
Just try it kind of thing. Yep. This does prompt Grant to change his plans again, and he's going to order Thomas to demonstrate the next day on his front facing Missionary Ridge. So basically hey, do a distraction, just take some pop shots, see if we can't distract the Confederate forces there. Okay. Out in Texas, Banks still doing his thing where he's trying to get a foothold. He's going to besiege Fort Esperanza and Matagorda Island and start his whole siege there. So we'll see if he gets that foothold in Texas. Who knows? On the 23rd, Thomas is going to move.
He does.
I hope so.
Be real important.
Texas seems like it needs to be taken for reasons.
Whatever.
Thomas is going to move 2 of his divisions from Fort Wood toward Confederate-held Orchard Knob, which was about a mile in front of the main Confederate positions. Sheridan and Wood's divisions of Thomas's Corps are going to capture Orchard Knob with very minimal casualties here, and then Grant prepares his men for an assault to take place the next day with the whole original battle plan, Sherman crossing the river, attacking Missionary Ridge, all that fun stuff. See how that plans out. The battle comes to a head on the 24th with a start of a lopsided victory here, which is kind of unexpected. So, if you look at the high ground, you look at where they're at, on top of all of that, Lookout Mountain, the idea of an army climbing up Lookout Mountain with all that rocky terrain, with all the Confederate entrenched positions, artillery, there's no way they're going to be able to do it.
No.
And we did it with relative, I wouldn't say necessarily ease, but we did it.
Did we scare them? The Confederate, they slipped and fell off the edges as we came up. What?
We just started
single file mountain.
Hooker starts climbing Lookout Mountain. Sherman takes what he thinks is the end of the north end of Missionary Ridge, which Hooker was wrong. He takes a smaller hill in front of a ravine that separates Missionary Ridge, with the ultimate goal of Tunnel Hill, but doesn't quite make it there. But it does show Confederates that they're massing near the north end. So Missionary Ridge is going to be the real focus of this battle, and whether or not the Union forces can get out. That part of the battle takes place on the 25th, where Sherman is ordered to move against Tunnel Hill. Hooker was ordered to move from Lookout Mountain to try to cut off the escape route from the rebels into Georgia, and Thomas is ordered to attack the center at Missionary Ridge when Sherman reaches the heights. Unfortunately, Sherman doesn't reach the heights. He gets bogged down. And he's fighting. And it's heavy. It's not the greatest casualty part at this point in the battle. But he's trying. He's trying his best. He's not making it. So General Thomas is ordered to take, the Rock of Chickamauga, our hero of Chickamauga. He's ordered to assault the first line of trenches at the base of Missionary Ridge to distract, to give Sherman the opportunity to move in. Instead, he takes the whole fucking thing.
Oh, well, that's better.
He crosses over a mile of it's not open ground, but over a mile of wooded terrain, gets to the base of the hill, takes the first line of trenches, and then he was ordered to stop, but his men they just kept going. In fact, they assaulted so perfectly and so quickly that the Confederate troops in the trench works behind that first line couldn't fire down on the Union troops because they would be firing literally into the Confederates that were running from the first line up through, and they just followed it all the way up through, took the whole top of the hill, battle over. Union victory. Unfortunately, Hooker's...
Okay, everybody involved with that now gets to leave the army and go retire somewhere.
Right? Because this is a stupidly... it shouldn't have happened this way. Unfortunately, Hooker's not able to cut off the retreat, and dirty rebels retreat to Georgia, so...
No, they got away. But we got what we were ultimately after.
They are going to be pursued immediately, though. This isn't like Gettysburg, where we let them run away and we're not going to pursue them that night. Sherman's on their heels the entire way of them out. He's leaving, he's pursuing. During this battle, the Union is going to lose 753 killed, 4,722 wounded, 349 missing, to Confederate losses of allegedly 360 killed, 2,160 wounded, and 4,146 captured or missing. Massive Union victory here. We won a battle we should have lost. We broke out of a siege that should have destroyed a huge chunk of the Union Army in the West, and instead,
now they're ready to surrender to the war, and it's going to be over.
Swinging right back to the Union side. This week ends with Sherman and Thomas chasing Bragg through Chickamauga Station towards Graysville and Ringgold, where Confederate forces underneath Patrick Claiborne are going to put up heavy rearguard action. And Patrick Claiborne is kind of going to be the Rock of Chickamauga for the Confederates and save what's left of Bragg's army. So, yay, the war's never going to end.
Whatever.
So stay tuned next week to see if this means anything or if it was just killing for killing's sake. And I'm going to go ahead and assume it's probably just killing for killing's sake.